everybody. I'm so excited to be here today and work with you on your 5th grade confirmation project on stewardship. I should introduce myself. My name is Nancy Ratzloff and I am a retired art teacher. I taught here in Little Falls at Dr. S.G. Knight and also at Lindbergh Elementary School for many years. And I just love working with kids, and I love teaching art and making it fun for people to learn by doing art projects. So here we are. And I'm anxious to teach you how to make a very special gift box today. This is an origami box. It's called the Masu box, which in English means a square box. It's a square shape, and we're going to be folding it with 3 pieces of paper. I'll just show you the box a little bit. It has a cover, it has a bottom, and it has an insert. And I think you saw that. I think Pastor Beth already showed you what the box looks like and what's inside of it. You will be receiving a kit that is going to have everything in it that you need to create this special gift box. And I'm going to show you what is in it. In the bag, there are 3 squares of paper. You can actually create this box out of any size square, as long as it's a square. And we all know what squares are. Same length on every side. And this particular box is made with a 9-inch square. And each of the squares need to be the same size for it all to fit together. Also, what is in your little packet are some other things that we're going to be putting in the box. We have a little slip of paper that has our meaning, a definition for you of Christian stewardship. That's going to be put in the cover of the box. The little objects that are going to be placed inside the box that that you've heard about and that you're going to be talking about in your class, representing time, talents, and treasures. And then we have a fun little project for you. This is a little bag, and inside is Sculpey clay. Sculpey clay is the kind of clay that you can actually harden in your own kitchen oven. And what you have here is a big blue chunk, and then you have some little chunks of other colors, green and white and brown and kind of a sandy color. And you're going to create a planet. You're going to take the blue clay and warm it up in your hands and create a really nice soft ball. And this will be the planet, our planet Earth. And then to your discretion, you can just take these little pieces of color, pinch them, get them nice and soft, and you can apply them to the big blue ball, however you would like. Some of you might want to be more particular and try to put some continents on and mountain ranges and deserts. That is up to you. Maybe you can even find a spot where you can put Little Falls, Minnesota. But once you have added the land to all of this water, and you don't have to use all the little pieces if you don't want to, just use whatever you would like to. Then you're going to roll it again. Roll it, roll it, roll it, so it all becomes part of one sphere. And it's nice and smooth. Now this is a soft one, and this is a hard one that I baked in my oven last night. It's baked at 275 degrees for about an hour. And I just put it on a little piece of parchment paper or on a little cookie sheet and put the timer on, and after an hour you can take it out. It'll be a little warm, but it'll cool off quickly, and you will have a little planet to put in your stewardship box to remind you about our stewardship of the earth. So let's get started on making our box. I'm excited. I hope you are too. Now, I don't know how many of you have learned or done origami before. I'm sure maybe a lot of you maybe have, but I'm going to show you some of the tools that you need. The most important material, of course, is paper, because origami is about folding paper. And the best tools that you have are your very own fingers. The best tools you have. You can, if you want to help your origami be successful, you can have a pencil or a marker. You can use a marker cap if you want to, or something hard. A lot of origami artists will use this. This is called a bone folder, and it helps you make very sturdy, strong creases, which is very important in origami. So I'll probably be using this to show you today. Once in a while you might need a little ruler, and we will use this for the third part, just to show you how to divide our paper into thirds. Okay, so we're going to start with the base of the box. So I'm going to choose whichever sheet of paper I want for the base, and I think I'm going to use this. And Pastor Beth's going to fold along with me here. The most important part of origami is the beginning. So we're going to begin by making what we call preliminary folds. If you want to use one of these, you can too.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so we're going to take our paper and we are going to fold it in half, side to side. So we're going to line up the edges as straight as we can, corner to corner. And then let me show you something. When you make a really good fold so that your paper doesn't slip, kind of hold it in one spot and then come to the middle. Kind of bring your finger to the middle and then crease from the middle out to the edges. That way your paper won't slide off to the side or something. You'll have a very nice crease for half. Now once you have that fold done, now you can take your fingernails. I use the top of my fingernail or my thumbnail, and I make that crease really, really strong. Or I use my bone folder and iron it down really well with my bone folder.
Is this where I can use my marker?
Yes, the side of your marker. Mm-hmm.
I never knew that this could be how to make my folds.
Exactly, yes. Then what we want to do is make sure our fold is reversible. So let's open our paper up and carefully bend it back and gently right along the edges of that crease. Let's see if we can make it a reversible crease, so it goes both ways. And then we will iron it down again. When we do that, we want to make sure that we're not making a new crease. We're just creasing the old crease, the first crease we made. That looks great. Okay, now let's take our paper, and you see we have a crease right here. And now we need to have a crease going this way. So we're going to take the other two sides of our paper, and we're going to bring them together. And it really doesn't matter right now what side we're working on, because this is reversible again. So find our corners and then fold from the center out. So our paper doesn't slide.
That's a really good tip, because I have a hard time keeping my corners together when I fold.
Yeah, they have a tendency to want to slip. Sometimes we just want to go shh, and then it all goes wacky off to the edge. Okay, and we're going to make that also reversible. The kind of paper we're using today is actually some paper that I took out of a scrap paper book, a big book of different colors of paper that scrapbook artists like to use. It's a little sturdier than regular origami paper, just a little sturdier than your computer paper. And it'll make our box a little bit sturdier too. So when we have the sides folded both this way and this way, and we open up our paper, we should be able to see this. We should be able to see a cross, a vertical and a horizontal crease. And they should be both be very nice, sharp creases. We don't want wimpy creases, because if we have a lot of wimpy creases, we end up having a wimpy looking box. Okay? Now, the next thing we're going to do, the next part of the fold is diagonal fold. So we're going to take one corner of the square and bring it across to the corner right across from it. Hold that really well. If you can see this, hold that really well. Bring my finger right to the middle. And when I bring my finger to the middle, I should see those other creases that I already made right in the middle. And then I'm going to gently fold out to the edge. And it should go right to the corner. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side of the center and bring that right out to the center. This is a diagonal crease, so it's going to be a little bit longer. How did yours come out?
I think it's pretty good.
That looks great, great.
My corners
Okay.
aren't perfect, but I'm hoping
Well,
that they're close.
They may not be exactly, precisely perfect, and that is just fine.
Okay.
I cut these on my paper cutter at home, and sometimes it gets a little wacky too, so it's okay. Then you can take your bone folder or your finger, and you can crease that, and then iron it really well out so it's nice and a strong crease. We're working a little bit on a tablecloth, which is a little soft. At home, you can just do this on a hard surface, like a table, regular table without a tablecloth on it would be better. Now we're going to open this up, and we're going to fold it back the other way. From the center out. Very good. Now we have to put the other diagonal, and it's real easy to see where it's missing, because if you look at the white side of your paper, you can see the creases better.
It looks kind of like pizza slices, except Nancy, I want this pizza slice because it's the biggest.
I know. I'm sorry, you're going to have to take two pieces instead of one big one. But because now we're going to take the two corners that already have a crease in them, and we're going to bring those together. Crease from the center out. Open it up. Wow, and now we will have an X. If we look at our paper, we'll have an X. But I don't want to forget to reverse this also.
Now I have 8 equal pizza slices, Nancy.
You do.
Now we don't have to fight over who gets the biggest
We do
one.
not have to fight over pizza. And there's 2 of us, so we each get 4 pieces.
Perfect.
Okay. So these are the preliminary folds. We're going to do this on all 3 of our papers today for making all parts of our box. So we are ready now to go ahead and complete the bottom, the base of our box. So what I would like you to do is turn your paper with the white side up, and you're going to notice, now we talked about all these little sections. We have 2 pieces in each corner that make a square. And we're going to take the corner of our square and we're going to bring it to the center, and we're going to use these little lines as kind of like a little fence. We want to bring this to the center, but we do not want to go, we cannot go over the fence. We want to keep it right lined up, right along those edges.
So mine's right next to the edges, right next
Yeah,
to the
right
fold?
next to the
Okay.
edge, right, is fine. It's better to be a little tiny hair short of the edge than over the edge. And you'll find out in a minute why. And then what we're gonna do is turn our paper to the corner across, and we're gonna bring that one in and put it inside of its own little fence. Like so. And you can take your bone folder or your finger and you can iron that down real well. But with this, we don't have to worry about doing the reverse folds. We have the main important ones done there. Okay, now we're going to do the other two corners. We're going to bring them in. And we want to very carefully make sure they stay right inside of the other two. Now you'll notice there is just a little tiny white space there, and that is good, that's fine. We don't want these to overlap. And then of course the last corner. Okay, you can use your fingers or, oh, that looks awesome. Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're going to leave these folded in, and we're going to go to the next step of the box, which is to take, this gets a little, we're working with a little more paper, because we have a square, and we're going to take one side of our square, and we're going to bring this together, holding this paper together, and we're going to bring this folded edge right to the center crease. Right up to it, not over it, but just kind of like we did with our fence, our little triangles. We're going to just put it right up to the line, the middle line. Hold it in the middle and then crease out. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing across. This side across from it, we're going to bring this in, and now we're going to make those two come together. They can touch. Line up your lines. You'll see you've got a middle line, line that up, and then crease it to the outside, just like so. And they should just come together. Perfect. Oh, that looks wonderful. Now you can probably take your fingernail or your marker.
These creases are a lot harder. Paper got thick.
Yeah, it did. Okay, now we have to do this again. We're going to open these up. Pull those squares in again. And now we need to, the creases that we put across this way, we have to also do with the other two sides. Okay? So now the other two sides that were not folded in, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to bring them in, right up to the middle line, crease, and then the one across. Now, it's good to, even though we're not reversing these creases, you really want to make these nice and strong, sharp creases, because that is what's going to make your box have really nice corners. Wonderful. All right, so let's open this up, our box up, and we're going to just take two corners that are across from each other, 2 points, and fold those out. Okay, leave the other two in. And now we're going to fold this edge into the center, and this into the center. we are just about done with our box, believe it or not. All we have to do, and I'm going to turn it like this because I'm going to show you the two sides that we just folded in. We're going to lift them up a little bit. These are going to be the sides of the box. And then we have all of this long area here that we're going to fold into the box. And I'm going to show you from one side, and then I'll show you from the other side how this goes together. If you made really nice, strong creases, you'll notice you can see them right here. We've got a kind of a diagonal, like a side of a triangle. And if I press this in with my finger, like this, I can kind of lift this up. Or I can go this way. I can just fold it in. This looks like kind of like the top of a little envelope. And another thing maybe for visualization, if you look at the center of this piece of paper where the two triangles come in, this square is going to be the bottom of our box. This is where the bottom of our box is, right here. So these creases are going to come up like so, right on the edge of the box. And then we're going to fold this over, fold this just over the edge, and then we're going to push it down into the box and crease it, and one of the sides of our box is done. Yay! Okay, so we're going to do the same thing, and maybe I'll just do it like this so the camera can see a little bit better, but the other side, you can turn it around and look at it if you want to, and I'll just go like this. I'm just going to push this in. I'm going to lift it up. And then this piece right here, it's a little rectangle and a triangle. It's going to fold over into the box. And then all of the colored triangles come together, and the box is colored on the inside and the outside. So there you go.
Awesome.
That is the bottom of our box. So we are done with that. You can always pause the tape and you can rewind and do this part over again, because it's real important to know how to make these boxes. Okay, so we are ready to go ahead. We've completed the bottom of our box, and we're going to set that aside. And what we have left is the top of the box and then the little insert that we're going to be creating. Both of these start with our preliminary folds that we used for the bottom of the box. So we're going to go ahead, and you can follow with us. You can take your two remaining sheets of paper and you can fold them side to side, just like we did before. Now, once you start going a little faster, that's okay, but you don't want to get sloppy with it. You still want to be very careful to make sharp creases, and be sure to make them reversible. So we're going to do the side to side. Always folding from the middle out and always reversing. So you're going to have that plus or cross, and you can do that with both sheets of paper. Whoops. Reverse. So they both have pluses. Now I'm going to do the diagonal, which is corner to corner. Always go to the middle, out. so we have an X and we have a cross, so we know that one has the preliminary folds done. Set that aside, and now I will do this one. Corner to corner. Do you want to try this one to see how it is when you
Sure.
iron your creases? It's really nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially if you're doing a lot of paper folding.
I feel fancy. That works really nice.
You can get them at art supply stores usually, or places like Michael's or Crafts Direct.
Never heard of them before.
Oh, okay. They store. We don't have any in Little Falls, but you can also find them online if you look for bone folders. Okay. So I have mine finished.
I've got one fold
How
left.
are you doing? Okay? Just
I've-
about ready?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so we have those sheets ready to go with the preliminary folds. Now you want to pick the paper that you want to have for the cover. So this one, actually the bottom isn't going to show very much at all, but the cover, I think I'm going to pick this one because it's got a lot of pattern on it, and that's going to be my cover. Okay, and you're going
I'm
to
gonna
pick
go
that
for a
one?
fun color.
Okay, cool. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and do what we did last time exactly. We're going to turn our paper over to the white side, and we're going to fold the colored corners in within the little fence right there within the folds. You're going to do that on both sides first, and then we're going to fold in the other two corners. Make sure that they do not overlap. The sides do not overlap. Especially when you get down here to the point, you want to make sure there's a little tiny space in between them. Okay, see, I even have a little kind of a bigger space here, but that's going to be okay. And then when we get to this point, this is the difference between the top and the bottom. We would like the top to be a little larger so that it's going to fit easily on top of your box. But we don't want it to be too big so it falls off really easy. But we do need to make it a little bit bigger. So there's a trick to that, and here's the trick. When we get to this point in folding the box, and we're going to bring this side to the center line, we don't go to the center line. We're going to go about 1/8 of an inch. Now I have a ruler here, and 1/8 of an inch is just a tiny, two little spots right there. So we don't want it to be too much, but just a hair before we get to the line, and then crease it. And on the other side also, 1/8 of an inch from the center, so that when we have those folded in, we're going to have a space that's about 1/4 of an inch of space there between those two edges. Once you have that, then you go ahead and you crease it down really well with your fingernail, bone folder, whatever you have. And then we're going to open it up, and just like we did with the bottom, we have to take the other two sides and do the same thing. About 1/8 of an inch from the center. And 1/8 an inch from the center. We have that little space there. And we're going to crease that really well. Okay, so this is what it looks like. And then we're going to go ahead and take two sides, bring them out, and the other two sides we're going to fold in. Okay. Now, if you remember correctly, this center, we just set up the sides like this. That center square is where the bottom of the box fits. So we need to bring up the sides, and if you made really good creases, you see how they'll just fold right in? Fold right in, and then flip it right over the top, crease it, bring it in, flip it over, lift this up so you've just got that nice center bottom of the box. And you notice when this comes in how nice these come together? Flip it over and into the box. And then you can crease this to make it nice and strong and sturdy and sharp edges. So this one should be just a tiny bit larger, and it should fit really nicely just over the top of the bottom of the box. Yay!
I got it.
Good job. Okay, so that is the cover. So we now have the bottom of the box and we have the cover. And we are about to start the insert. Now this one is a little bit different. So we have our preliminary folds already. And the next thing we need to do, and this is a little bit trickier, we should see we have our vertical, horizontal, and two diagonal lines. So a plus and a cross and an X. You've got that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now to make this work, this is one of the reasons I decided to use a 9-inch square, because we have to divide this paper into thirds. Now thirds are a little bit harder to do when you just can't put sides together. So for those of you that have a hard time like eyeballing what a third is, if this is a 9-inch square, we need to divide it into thirds, which would be 3, 6, 9. And so what I'm going to do, I have a little ruler here, and I'm just going to take my ruler and I'm going to, from the edge of my paper to 3 inches, I'm just going to put a little dot right on my vertical line here. Do you want to do that to yours?
Yes, thank you.
That little dot will help us make sure we get our paper into thirds. So we're going to take the bottom of the square and we're going to fold it up to the dot. About that far. And then we can crease that. And if we did that correctly now, and if you're just not measuring, if you get to the point where you cannot measure, this part that we folded over and the white part should look about the same size. Now what we do is we just flip our paper around and open this up, and that crease that we just made is going to be our marker for folding the other side to that fold. Now just take your time. I hope this isn't too confusing to you, but when you open your paper up, you'll see it's divided into three sections. Each section is 1/3 of the paper. Okay, so now we have to do the same thing though. We have these lines going horizontal. Now we have to rotate our paper, and we need to do it vertically. So we can take our ruler again and we can measure 3 inches right along that crease. Make a dot. And then we'll fold our paper right up to that dot and also line it up with all the other creases you've made. Then you know it'll be nice and straight. Crease that. you didn't know you were going to be doing math today, too.
I didn't.
And then we open it up and we fold the bottom of the paper up to that 1/3 line that we created. Okay. All right, so we have that, and now what we're going to do is kind of similar to the box. We're going to take, you see on each corner of our paper, there is a square. I'm just gonna darken this a little bit so you guys can see that. There's one there, there's one here, so you can see the creases. And there's one here, and there's one here. Okay? So what we're gonna do is fold this in. And before we fold, I just want you do have a choice here if you want to. Now for the insert of the box, if you want it to be white, if you want that to be white, we would flip our paper over and we would be folding our white in like this. Or if you want it to be colored, which it doesn't matter, it's just a choice that you have to make. I think I'll just keep mine colored probably. This one I had white in. So a white insert would look like this, and a colored insert would just be the color of your paper too. So it doesn't really matter.
I'm gonna go with color to match my box.
Okay, to match. Okay, so now you want to fold these corners in to that box. So be sure to keep them lined up with the fold of your paper. All 4 corners need to go in, and you have to keep them within that crease. So hopefully your creases are strong enough to see. And then I would iron those down really well. For this particular insert that we're making, you want to really make good creases, obviously, again. Okay? Okay, now the next step is, you see we have these diagonal corners here, and then we have these straight corners. We're going to take the straight corner, and we're going to bring it all the way into the crease that lines up with the edges of the triangles, just like this. Line all your corners up, fold that. You're going to do that on all sides. And they should just fit right inside of each other. You don't want them to overlap when you do your corners. So make sure the corners just line up really nicely right up next to each other. It almost looks like a little picture frame. Make sure we get that right in there. Okay, and definitely crease that down with your finger or your marker. Okay. Wonderful. Doesn't that look like a little frame?
Mm-hmm.
You put a little.
We could put our picture in that.
We could. Okay, so now the next part is a little confusing, but it's not too bad. If you follow closely, we're going to take this square and we're going to make it into a rectangle like this. So it would stand up. So just fold it back so it kind of stands up like a tent. Okay? And if you lay it on its side and you look closely at it, you'll see the creases that come from the corner and go up to the point, from the corner up to the top point right there. We're going to change this rectangle into a triangle. So these two corners right here, this corner and this corner, are going to be, we're going to open this up like a tent, and then if we've made really good folds, we're going to just tuck that right inside like that. And then we can hold this side and we can tuck this side in. So now it looks like a mountain with snow on the top. Very good. Okay, everybody see that? This is what it looks like. And it kind of stands up sort of, but it's kind of a different shape, but it's an important shape that we need to make the insert for our box. If you get this far, then you're going to take the mountain part of the snow part of the mountain, the white part here, we're going to tip that forward. Crease that really well, and it doesn't matter which way you fold it. Doesn't matter at all. Any side is fine. Okay. Now, if you hold it up like so, it looks like a boat.
Oh.
See how it looks like a boat? So we kind of turn it upside down, and it looks like a boat. I've got the white side on one side. Doesn't matter. Now we're going to hold that boat, and we're going to look down at it, like you're holding it in your hand, and you're going to kind of open it up, and it almost looks like two boats, two canoes. You see that? So kind of flatten that out, like so. And then this middle fold right here we're going to use, and we're going to fold it way back. Yeah, you got it. And we're going to set it on the table and kind of tap it like this. Okay? Now, do you see what we have here? We have created a cross. And this, if we put our fingers on it like this and hold it, we should be able to take this, and it should fit perfectly inside of the bottom of our box. Okay. Now, if it's sometimes it's kind of poofy like this. So what you need to do is go to the back of this and make sure all of these creases, especially the side edges of the square, you pinch them quite so they're really good. So this stays flat. So you want the bottom to be flat, and you want the top to stand up better. Now if you put it in your box, it'll be better. Yay! That is it. So that magically happened, and if you just follow along closely, you might have to rewind a little bit, maybe a couple times to get this part. I would say this is the hardest part, but it's kind of the most fun part, I think, of the whole box. And once you have the little insert in there, you have the cover can go on, and your box, your origami Masu box is complete. I hope you all had fun doing this and that you're really happy with the results. Now, once the box is finished, then you will take the little definition of Christian stewardship is using the gifts God has given me to do the work God is calling me to do, and a little verse about we love because he first loved us. And that I use double stick tape, or you can use a little glue or a little glue stick. You can glue that right into the bottom of the cover of your box. And then you can place your objects that you created. Oh, here we go, okay. Our little globe that has been baked in the oven. And we think about our environmental stewardship and all the wonderful things God has given us, and how we are going to be caretakers of those things. And we have our quarter representing our treasure. We have our little hand, which represents the work that we do, the things we're good at that we can share with others. That can go in one. And then we have a wonderful little clock representing our time. And all of those are remembrances of your class and help you think about your commitment to being a good steward, a Christian steward. So what do you think?
I love it. I think I'm gonna put mine on my dresser at home so that I see it every time I walk out of my bedroom.
Yes,
As
you
a
can.
reminder.
You can share it with your family and explain it to them. And you can keep it as a little treasure for yourself, a little remembrance. You can put a little bow on it if you'd like to make it look more like a present. You think about the gifts you have and the gifts that you've received. So it's been my pleasure to do this, and I hope everybody had fun.
Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome.